Hello everyone. So today we are here with part 2 for the probability board questions for applied maths class 12th. चलिए फिर इसका second part करते हैं. I hope first part all of you would have seen and understood it. So let's start. So we have done almost 15 questions in the last part. Now we'll be moving ahead with it. Okay, so now let's move on with this. So we did around 15 questions as I said. So we'll be moving on. So this was the last question that we did. Now we start from here. So there are 50 telephone lines in an exchange. The probability that any one of them will be busy is zero point 0.1. So you have to find the probability that all the lines are busy. So right, so it's simple question which is based on Poisson distribution. Now let's start with it. So n is 50 here, right? And what is your p? That is the probability of the busy line, that is 0.1. So what will be your lambda and p? So what will it be? 50 into 1 by 10, that is 5, correct? So now, what's the formula? E raised to minus lambda, lambda raised to r upon factorial r. This is for p, x is equal to r. So here we are concerned with all the lines are busy. All the lines means your r will be equal to n. So p of x is equal to 50 हो जाएगा, correct? Total how many lines are there? 50. So what do you get here? E raised to minus 5, 5 raised to 50 upon 50 factorial. And which option does it match? It matches option C. So that's your correct answer. So it's a simple question based on Poisson distribution. Now, the value of mortgage loans that made by the certain bank is normally distributed with mean of rupees 36 lakhs and a standard deviation of rupees 12 lakhs. The probability that a randomly selected mortgage loan is less than 54 lakhs is. So now we have to use simply the concept of normal distribution as it is written there, normally distributed. So mu is the mean that we have 36. Standard deviation is given by rho so that we have 12 lakhs. Correct? Now x is 54 lakhs. Correct? So now what's the formula? If you go with, it is less than 54. So P of x less than 54. So we have to find the z score corresponding to this. So z score is x minus mu upon rho. So which will be how much? 54 minus 36 upon 12. So what do we get? 8. So we get here 1.5. So we can also write it as P of z less than 1.5 and the value is given here 0.9332 and which is equal to what? 93.32%, right? Simply multiplied by 100.9932. Why? Because probability or percentage, how do we convert? So this is how we get it, correct? So loan to percentage, if we have to go, just multiply the probability by 100, correct? So that's your correct answer. Now let's move on to the next. A river passing near a town floods it on an average twice every year. 10 years may. Assuming Poisson distribution, find the probability that the town faces flooding at least once in 10 years. So now if I go with probability of getting flooded is 2 times every 10 years. So what do we get? 2 by 10. That's 1 by 5. Correct? So now again it is given at least 1 in 10 years. So n is 10. So at least 1. So at least 1 means x इज ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 1. सो इसके लिए ईजिएस्ट वे क्या होता है? जीरो का केस माइनस कर दीजिए जब एक बार भी फ्लड नहीं आएगा. इसमें से माइनस करेंगे 1 में से. सो 1 माइनस एक्सपोनेंशियल माइनस लेमडा, लेमडा रेज टू 0 अपॉन फैक्टोरियल 0. Now lambda का value we have to find. So how many can you find lambda for flooding? For this case, NP. So 10 into 1 by 5. So we get the answer 2. So let's put the value e raised to minus 2, 2 raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. So what do we get? 1 minus this. So what's the value given to you? 0.1353. So let's subtract it. What do we get? 0.8647, which is option D. These are very simple questions, students. Probability is a full scoring chapter. Right now, next, a TV manufacturer tests a random sample of 6 pictures tubes to determine any defect. Past experience suggests that the probability of defective picture tube is 0.05. So you have to find at least one defective picture. So again the same thing. आपके पास probability गई दी गई है defective की 0.05 and your n is 6. 0.05 को if you want to convert to fractions that will be easier क्योंकि options हमारे उसमें हैं. So what is Q? 19 by 20 because always the relation between P and Q is their sum is 1. So now probability is at least one defective. Again the same concept. At least one defective means greater than equal to 1. But now it's a case of binomial. So 1 minus p of x is equal to 0 will be there. So now 1 minus. So p of x is equal to 0 क्या होगा 6c0 1 by 20 raised to 0 19 by 20 raised to 6. 6c0 is 1. 1 by 20 raised to 0 is 1. So what's your answer? 1 minus 19 by 20 raised to 6. So that's option B. So binomial है आपके पास for small n. Remember, Poisson distribution or normal will be written in the question. If nothing is written and n is small, it is binomial distribution. So what's the formula for binomial? Once again we write NCR p raised to r q raised to minus r for the probability of x is equal to r. This is for binomial. Now let's move on to the next. Now it is known from the past experience that the number of telephone calls made daily in a certain community between 3 to 4 p.m. has a mean of this and standard deviation of this. What percentage of time will be more than 400 telephone calls made in the community between 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. और आपको जो वैल्यू दी गई है दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग हियर. नाउ मीन दिया है स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन दिया सो इट इज नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का केस दो इट इज नॉट रिटन बट this is the tag that we find it out for. Now let's move on to the next. So what do we get? Mu is given how much? 352. Standard deviation is given how much? 31. And what is your point? X is greater than 400 calls between 3 and 4 p.m. So 400 calls के लिए what can we do? First we will find Z. Z as I told you before also the formula is this. So 400 minus 352 upon 31 which gives you the answer 48 divided by 31 which is 1.55. करेक्ट. नाउ 1.5 आ रहा है हमारे पास सो 1.5 के लिए वैल्यू नहीं दिया गया 0 से 1.5 का वैल्यू दिया गया. नाउ लेट्स कन्वर्ट इट. सो p of z greater than 1.5 that is what we have to calculate. अब इसको आप कैसे लिख सकते हैं दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. तो इसको हम लिख सकते हैं p of z greater than equal to 0 minus p of z between 0 and 1.5. नाउ अभी इसको हम ये क्यों लिख रहे हैं वाई नॉट 1 माइनस पी ऑफ जेड लेस देन 5 क्योंकि हमें लेस देन 1.5 का वैल्यू नहीं दिया गया है. हमें जो वैल्यू दिया गया है क्वेश्चन में 0 से 1.5 दिया गया है. सो हमें इसलिए सेंटर पॉइंट जो हमारा 0 होता है उसको लेना है. दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग स्टूडेंट्स. सो आपको ये रीजन चाहिए. अगर ये 1.5 है तो यू वांट दिस रीजन. तो हमने वो 0.5 हटा दिया स्टार्टिंग का. तो ऑलवेज रिमेंबर पी ऑफ जेड इज इक्वल टू 0 क्या होता है ऑलवेज इट्स 0.5 क्योंकि ये आधा एरिया आपने कट कर दिया. अब आपको उसके बीच में चाहिए जो वैल्यू कितना दिया है हमें 0.4394. सो नाउ 0.0606. So this is again 6.06% if we multiply it by 100. So it is D option. This is very important part. इसको mark करके रखिए. That's important question. Now let's move on to the next. The height of certain species of plants is normally distributed with mean of 20 centimeter and standard deviation of 4 centimeter. What is the probability that the height of the plant chosen at random lies between 10 and 30? Now here again the point is mean is given, standard deviation is given, so it will be the case of yes normal distribution. So now let's calculate it. So अभी आपको किसके बीच में calculate करना है between 10 and 30. इनके करस्पॉन्डिंग हमें z निकालना होगा सो दैट वी कैन यूज इट. नाउ सैम्पल पेपर था इसलिए वैल्यूज नहीं दी गई हैं. आई विल गिव यू द डायरेक्ट वैल्यूज बाय सॉल्विंग बट इन एग्जाम डोंट वरी वैल्यूज विल बी गिवन टू यू. नाउ व्हाट्स योर म्यू गिवन टू यू? म्यू इज गिवन 20. Standard deviation is given 4. So let's calculate first for 10. सिंपल z वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करते हैं पहले. So 10 minus 20 upon 4, which is minus 10 upon 4, which is minus 2.5. Now let's calculate for 30. So 30 minus 20 upon 4. कौन सा फॉर्मूला हम यूज कर रहे हैं? Z स्कोर का फॉर्मूला हम यूज कर रहे हैं. करेक्ट. This is what we have. So 10 upon 4 is 2.5. So basically what we have to find, we have to find the value from minus 2.5 to 2.5 के बीच में वैल्यू चाहिए. So that is what we have to find. Now let's go for it. So now what we can do, अब हम इसको कन्वर्ट करने के लिए डिपेंड्स ऑन अस विच वैल्यूज वी वांट टू यूज. करेक्ट. सो आई एम गिविंग यू द डायरेक्ट आंसर सो दैट यू कैन डू इट, अदरवाइज यू कैन यूज एनी ऑफ द टू. सो इसको आप माइनस 2.5 से 2.5 करना है. सो वी कैन से p ऑफ z लेस देन 2.5 माइनस p ऑफ z लेस देन माइनस 2.5. करेक्ट. इफ आई जस्ट गिव यू अ ग्राफ, ये अगर माइनस 2.5 है तो ये क्या है? 2.5. तो इससे पूरा वाला हमने ग्राफ लिया z लेस देन दिस, ये एरिया भी है, इसको हमने फिर क्या किया? माइनस कर दिया. सो वी गेट द रिक्वायर्ड एरिया इन बिटवीन. सो जो डार्क कलर हमने अभी शेड किया, ये हमें माइनस करना है. दिस इज व्हाट वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग फ्रॉम द एंटायर एरिया. सो वी इफ वी कैलकुलेट द values using the table, we get the answer as 0.9876, which is C option, simply. Right? So values will be given to you, no worries. Now the normal distribution curve is symmetrical about. So just tell me किसके around symmetrical होता है? If we draw a bell shape, which value is it? Symmetric किसके around होता है? Yes, mu. So what's your answer? X is equal to mu. Let's move on. The mean, that is expected value of the numbers obtained on throwing a die having written 1 on 3 faces, 2 on 2 faces and 5 on 1 face. नाउ नॉर्मल डाई जो होती है उसमें सब पे अलग अलग नंबर होता है, बट ये जो डाई है उसमें क्या नंबर्स लिखे हैं? ओनली 3 नंबर्स आते हैं, 1, 2 एंड 5. 1 कितने फेसेस पे लिखा है? 3 फेसेस पे. टोटल फेसेस कितने होते हैं? 6. सो 3/6 इज द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ गेटिंग 1. 2 लिखा है 2 फेसेस पे, सो 2/6 is the probability of getting 2, and 1 is written on one face, that is 5 is written on one face, that is 1/6 उसका probability है. सो अगर हमें एक्सपेक्टेड वैल्यू निकालनी है तो उसका फॉर्मूला क्या होता है? PI XI. दोनों को हमें मल्टीप्लाई करके ऐड करना होता है. ऐड के लिए वी यूज सिग्मा. I is equal to 0 to n, जितने भी आपके पास केसेस हैं. सो लेट्स मल्टीप्लाई 1 into 3/6 plus 2 into 2/6 plus 5 into 1/6. So what do you get? 3/6. We are not reducing anything क्योंकि LCM फिर हमें लेना ही है, तो इसलिए I have not reduced the term. So now 6 is the LCM. So what do you get here? 2. Do we have that option? Yes. B option, that is for 2. Expected value or the mean is the same thing in probability. Now assertion reason we have here. So assertion reason के लिए we'll be solving it directly by using the concept. So the assertion is given to you that the probability of getting 6 heads when an unbiased coin is tossed 10 times is so and so. 6 heads means exactly 6 heads. Total 10 times we have done. So we have here C10 6, right? So now we have the question of assertion reason. So now we have the assertion that the probability of getting 6 heads when an unbiased coin is tossed 10 times is given here. So let's use the formula of binomial distribution, which is given in the reason. So if the formula is correct, then your reason is also correct. So yes, the formula is correct, so your reason is true. Now let's check the validity of assertion now. So if we have 10C6, right? Because we have to find for exactly 6 heads. So what's the probability of heads? 1/2. What is the probability of tails? 1/2. So we get this. So this is also correct. This is also correct. So yes, both are correct and it is a correct explanation of A. So option A is true, right? So we mark the option A. Now let's move on to the next. Now suppose 2% of the items made by the factory are defective. Find the probability that there are 3 defective items in a sample of 100 items selected at random. Now 2% of the items made in the factory are defective. So your probability of defective is 2 upon 100. So which is 0.02. correct? So 2% of the items are defective. Find the probability that there are 3 defective items. So आपको किसके लिए निकालना है? 3 के लिए निकालना है. What is your n given to you? 100. So let's find lambda first. Lambda is np, so which is 100 into 0.02, which is 2. So what will be your formula? E raised to minus lambda, lambda raised to 3 upon 3 factorial, which is e raised to minus 2, 2 raised to 3 upon 6. So what do you get here? E raised to minus 2 ka value, what is given to you? 0.135. That is 8 upon 6. So we get here 4 by 3. So we get here 4 5 is 20, and then 4, and then 1, and divided by 3. So if I just go with it, what do we get? 0.180. So if I go with the marking, for half mark will be for lambda, half mark will be for formula, half mark for this, and half mark for the final answer. So it will be 0.18. That is the probability of getting 3 defective items in a sample of 100 items. So basically, if someone asks you in percentage, it will be 18%. Correct? Now, if x is a Poisson variable such that p of x is equal to 1 is equal to p of x is equal to 2, then p of x is 0. So this was in 2022-23 this week asked. So now p of x is equal to 1 ka formula e raised to minus lambda, lambda raised to 1 upon factorial 1, which is equal to 2 times e raised to minus lambda, lambda square upon 2 factorial. Now let's calculate the value of lambda from here. So lambda is 1. So we have to calculate for p of x is equal to 0. So simply we put the value for lambda as 1. So here we get 1 raised to 0 upon 1 factorial. So the answer is 1 upon e, because this is also 1, this is also 1. Let's move on to the next. An unbiased die is thrown again and again until 3 sixes are obtained. Find the probability of obtaining a third six in the sixth row of the die. Now this was very important question, though a little bit different. Your students mostly messed up. So just move on with this. So just see what is being asked. An unbiased die is thrown again and again until 3 sixes are obtained. What is the probability of obtaining a third six in the sixth row of the die? So here we use a very simple concept that suppose I take two events. A event getting two throws in the five throws. I repeat again. Getting two sixes in five throws. That will be one event. And that we are denoting with A. And B we are taking, that is six, that is our third six in the sixth throw. सिर्फ लास्ट थ्रो हमारे पास क्या आना है 6. तो इसका मतलब पहले के जो दो 6 हैं वो हमारे 5 थ्रोज में आए होंगे. सो ये दो इवेंट्स हैं हमारे पास. सो पी ऑफ ए बी विल बी व्हाट? पी ऑफ ए इंटू पी ऑफ बी. सो दिस इज द concept that we are going to use here. So now two sixes and five throws. If I have to find the probability of A, how will I find? Total throws कितने हैं? 5, 2. So 5C2. Now, what is the probability of getting a 6 in a die? 1 by 6, right? So 1 by 6 raised to 2 and 5 by 6 raised to 3. This is what I have for probability of A. Now for probability of B, what do we have? Probability of B is simple. That is, you are just throwing a die one time and you have to get a 6. So what's the probability of getting a 6? 1 by 6. So our final answer will be product of these two. So probability of A B will be 5C2, 1 by 6 raised to 2 and 5 by 6 raised to 3 into 1 by 6. So calculations you have to do here. Now 5C2. So 5 factorial upon this. So 5 into 4 upon 2. I hope all of you know the formula for this. So we have r factorial and n minus r factorial in the denominator and factorial n in the numerator. So now if I just cancel factorial 3 from both ways, I get this. Then 5 cube and then 6 raised to 4. 5. Correct? And into 1 by 6. So what do we get here? 5 raised to 4 is 625. 2 I can cancel with this. So 6 raised to 5 into 3, that is 3888, right? And here we get 23328, correct? So this is what we have the answer. Now here, how do we get the marks? Half mark for this, half mark for this, half mark for this, half mark for calculating again, substituting, and then 1 mark for the final answer, right? Because this calculations has to be done. So this is how do we categorize. It was for 3 marks in 2022-23. So this is how do we go for marking scheme. Now, this was a case study which was asked in 2022-23 based on probability. So, a factory produces bulbs of which 6% are defective bulbs in a large bulk of bulbs. So, your probability of defective bulbs is 6%, which is 6 upon 100. Now, based on the above information, answer the following. So, if we start with the first one, what's your n given? 100 bulbs. So, what will be your lambda? Np, which will be 6 upon 100 into 100. That will be 6. So, find the probability that in a sample of 100 bulbs selected at random, none of the bulbs is defective. So, none is defective. So, what do you have here? P of x is equal to 0. So which is nothing but e raised to minus lambda, lambda raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. So what's your lambda? E raised to minus 6, 6 raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. Let's put the value given to us. So what will be the final answer? 0.0024. That's 1 mark simply. Now the next is, find the probability of a sample of 100 bulbs has exactly 2 defective bulbs. So P of x is equal to 2. So e raised to minus lambda, lambda square upon 2 factorial. E raised to minus lambda is this. So 6 square upon 2. So what is it? 0.0024 into 36 upon 2, that is 18. So if you multiply 24 with 18, what do you get? 0.432. 0.432. Right? 4 places के बाद आएगा. So that's again for 1 mark. Half mark for formula, half for a calculation. Now, third may we have 2 parts, any one is to be attempted, and it is for 2 marks each. So find the probability that the sample of 100 bulbs will include not more than one defective bulb. So not more than one defective bulb means we have to take 2 cases, that is 0 and 1. So we have to calculate for 0 and 1, right? So 0 ke liye already we have found. So we can find for 1 separately, or what we can do, we can just take common term and add for both. So both ways are equally good. So e raised to 6 minus 6 यहाँ से आएगा, and e raised to minus 6 into 6 will come from here. So we get e raised to minus 6 into 7. So e raised to minus 6 is given 0.0024 into 7. So what do we get? 0.0164, right? So that's the answer for 8, sorry, right? So that's the answer for A part. Now we have to find the mean and variance of the distribution of the number of defective bulbs in a sample of 100 bulbs. Now this is very easy question, because and you will just write that in Poisson distribution the mean and the variance are equal. Already you know the mean, you have already found it. Okay, so what is the mean? 6. So what will be the variance? Variance will also be 6. So for the B part, we have simply that variance is going to be 6, because mean is equal to variance. So simple, no calculation, just the conceptual answer. That is, variance is also 6 because mean is 6. Now let's move on to the next. Now this is from the compartment exam. So if m is the mean of the Poisson distribution, you have to find for p of r is equal to 0. So r is equal to 0 means e raised to minus m raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. So this is 1, this is 1. So we get the answer as e raised to minus m. Now normal distribution is symmetric about mean, right? So this was again asked in compartment exam. Now internal choice was there in these two questions. So it is given that 2% of the screws manufactured by a company are defective. So using Poisson distribution, show that in a packet of 100 screws, no defective screw was there. So your lambda will be calculated NP. So what's your N? N is 100. What's your P? 2%. So what's your lambda? 2. Correct? Now, no defective screws. So we have to calculate for 0. So e raised to minus 2, 2 raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. So e raised to minus 2 is what? 0.14. So that's your answer. Now B part mein, that is the internal choice we had. So if a standard deviation of a Poisson variable is root 3, then find P of x greater than 0. So now your standard deviation is root 3. So what will be your variance? Your variance will be 3. This is how standard deviation and variance related. So what will be your mean? Your mean will also be 3. Now you have to find for x greater than 0. Right? So now for x greater than 0, what you have to do? So for x greater than 0, we are considered with 0, 1, 2 and everything. Correct? So now for this, we can simply write it as 1 minus p of x is equal to 0. Because sorry numbers we don't know, so we will be just subtracting the case of 0. So 1 minus e raised to minus 3 and the others will be 1. So 1 minus what's the value given? 0.95 will be the final answer. So probability is full scoring. If you see students, just you have to know the limited formula. A fair coin is tossed 9 times. Find the probability of getting exactly 5 tails, at least 5 tails, and at most 5 tails. This is a bit lengthier one. So now we have to calculate each of the case using the binomial distribution. So what's the formula for binomial? Let's start it for once. So this is the formula for binomial distribution when we have to calculate for x is equal to r. Now what's your n? N is given as 9, right? So r is 5, then at least 5, then at most 5. Okay, so let's calculate for is equal to 5, first case. So what do we have? 9c5. A coin is tossed. When the probability of getting a tail. So what's the probability of getting a tail? 1 by 2. What is the probability of head? 1 by 2. So this is what we have. So we have here 9c5. So 9, 8, 7, 6. Factorial 5 we cancel out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And into 1 by 2 raised to 9. Correct? Now let's do it. 3 2s are 6. 4 2s are 8. So 9 into 2 into 7 into 1 upon 512. What is 2 raised to 9? 512. So 256. So 63 upon 256. That is what we have the answer. Now second one, at least 5. At least 5 means greater than equal to 5. So how many cases we have? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 5 are to be added. A bit lengthier, but direct question, right? फुल स्कोरिंग है सिंपल फॉर्मूला ऑफ बायनॉमियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सो व्हाट डू वी हैव 9c5 1 by 2 raised to 5 1 by 2 raised to 4 now if you see one thing this is easy on the part that आपके पास 1 by 2 raised to 9 देखिए सब में आएगा 6 3 5 4 7 2 8 1 9 0 so 1 by 2 raised to 9 will be taken common from all. That's the biggest advantage of सेम प्रोबेबिलिटी 50-50 जब हमारे पास प्रोबेबिलिटी होता है तो ये हमारे पास बिगेस्ट एडवांटेज बन जाता है कि वी कैन टेक इट कॉमन एंड नाउ वी हैव टू फाइंड द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस एंड कैलकुलेट इसमें भी आप प्रॉपर्टीज यूज करिए इट विल बी इजी फॉर यू 9c 9 will be equal to 9c0 9c8 will be equal to 9c1 which is 0 के लिए हमारे पास 1 होता है 9c8 के लिए 9 होगा and so on it goes on. So if I do the calculation this is 512 and 9c5 9c6 and all सबका सम आता है 256 which is 1 by 2. Now we go for the next. At most x is less than equal to 5. Now this is again going to be easy note pay because this can be written as 1 minus x is greater than 5 not equal to वाला case extra होगा हमारे पास right. So if I go for this 1 by 2 raised to 9 again तो हमारे पास अभी कौन कौन से केसेस है all except एज आई सेड, अभी हमें 5 चाहिए तो 5 को हम सब्ट्रैक्ट नहीं करेंगे, बाकी रेस्ट ऑफ द केसेस वी विल सब्ट्रैक्ट। सो ऑलरेडी वो वैल्यूज आपने ऊपर निकाले हैं, 9C6, 9C7, 9C8, 9C9, so we have to use those only, just subtract it now. So now what do we get? 1 minus 130 upon 512, so we get the answer as 191 upon 256. That's the final answer. So question lengthy hai but not tough. Easily you can calculate and use the calculations for the next part as well. Now this was the question which was again in compartment exam. So again this was based on K and these questions are really easy to solve. ओके पहले हम पूरे डेटा को एक टैबुलर फॉर्म में लिख देते हैं। हमारे जो x के वैल्यूज़ हैं वो कहाँ से कहाँ वेरी कर रहे हैं, 0, 1, 2, 3 एंड 4 और अदरवाइज दैट इज गोज ऑन। सो 0, 3 के लिए क्या वैल्यू है हमारे पास 2k, 5 माइनस 3, के लिए 2 के लिए k, इसके लिए 1, इसके लिए 0.2 और सारी प्रोबेबिलिटीज का सम कितना होता है, सिग्मा पी आई इज ऑलवेज 1। सो लेट्स कैलकुलेट 5k is equal to 1. So what do we get? 5k is equal to 1 minus 0.2. So 0.16. This is what we have. Now we have to calculate again for 3 cases, 2 greater than 2 and less than 2. Now 2, only 2. So that's simple answer, 2k. फॉर्मूला लगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है किसी को भी. Greater than 2. So 2 का केस and 3 का केस. 2 will be coming here. 4 में 0 है. Okay, so now what do we have? 2k, 2k, so we get 4k. So 4 into 0.16, we get 0.64, right? And for p less than equal to 2, we have 3 cases, 0, 1, and 2, right? So for 0.2, for 1 and 2, we have 3k. So 0.2 plus 3 into 0.16. So how much you get? 0.2 plus 0.48. So we get here 0.68. Okay. This is what we have for this table. These questions are always advisable to attempt, students, if you get it in internal choice. These are really scoring questions. Now we go for the next. 2000 students appear in an exam. Distribution of marks is assumed to be normal with mean so and standard deviation 6.25. How many students are expected to get marks between 20 and 40 and less than 25? Now this is based on normal distribution, right? So normal distribution mein we have to find Z score. Z score ka formula x minus mu upon rho. So what's your mu given to you? Mu is given 30 and rho is given 6.25. So x हमारे पास क्या है 20 40. x 20 के लिए पहले कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं z स्कोर. So 20 minus 30 upon 6.25. So minus 10 upon 6.25. Correct? So that is what we have. So let's move it. Correct? So what do we get here? 40 upon 25 and all. So we get minus 1.60 something, right? Now let's move on for 40. 40 के लिए what do we get? For x is equal to 40, z will be 40 minus 30 upon 6.25. So that will be just positive. करेक्ट. थोड़ा सा हिंट हमें कहाँ से मिला था, यहाँ से, राइट? ये वैल्यू हमें दी गई है. सो बिटवीन 20 एंड 40. तो हमारा z कहाँ से कहाँ पे है, राइट? नाउ वी हैव टू अगेन चेक कि कौन सी वैल्यू हमें दी गई है सो दैट वी कैन यूज इट अकॉर्डिंगली. सो नाउ द वैल्यू इज गिवन बिटवीन 0 एंड 1.6. सो बिटवीन दिस है तो अभी हमारे पास सिमेट्रिक होता है ऑन द मीन. तो अगर हमारे पास 0 पे सिमेट्रिक है सो वी कैन सिंपली राइट इट एज व्हाट, 2 times p of 0 to 1.6. So 2 times 0.4452. So we get 2098. So that's final answer. देखिए क्यों हमने 2 टाइम्स किया, एक छोटा सा ये 0 है, इसके साइड में भी सेम डिस्टेंस होगा जितना यहाँ पे होगा, तो हमने इसको क्या कर दिया, डबल कर दिया, क्योंकि ये वैल्यू हमें दी गई थी. Less than 25, let's calculate for that second part. This is for first. पहले 25 के लिए हम जेड स्कोर कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं. So 25 minus 30 upon 6.25. So minus 5 upon 6.25. Correct? So if I remove the point, I get 500 upon 625. Now let's calculate for this. So what do we get? Minus 0.80. Correct? Now क्योंकि 1000 का हाफ 500 है, so वहाँ 0.16 आया था, तो यहाँ 0.8 आएगा. So less than 25. So x is less than 25. So it means z is less than minus 0.8. Correct? So z is less than minus 0.8 में हम क्या करेंगे अब? Again we will use the same value. So we can write it as p of z greater than 0 minus p of z between 0 and minus 0.8. Correct? So 0.5 minus 0.2881. रिमेंबर पूरा एरिया 1 होता है, इसलिए 0 के लिए वी हैव 0.5. रिमेंबर दैट. सो वी गेट आंसर 0.2119. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव. अब कितने स्टूडेंट्स हैं ये तो आपने परसेंटेज निकाल दिया. सो 2000 स्टूडेंट्स हैं, सो विल मल्टीप्लाई दीज वैल्यूज बाय 2000 टू गेट द फाइनल आंसर. तो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन में हमारे पास कितना आएगा? ये आया था आंसर. विल मल्टीप्लाई इट विथ 2000 टू गेट द नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स, एग्जैक्ट नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स गेटिंग इट. राइट? सो 2000 को हम किससे मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे? 8904 से. सो व्हाट डू वी गेट? 80817. सो अराउंड 17808 आ रहा है. लेट्स शिफ्ट द पॉइंट. सो व्हाट डू वी गेट हियर? वी गेट हियर 178.8. So which is 1781 students normally they scored between 20 and 40. Similarly, we will multiply this by 2000. So for the number of students, so what do we get? 8324. So what do we get here? So we get here, we shifted, so 423.8, that is around 424 students, they got less than 25. This is how do we go. Word problems are always good to attempt. Now, it is known that 3% of the plastic buckets manufactured in a factory are defective. Using the Poisson distribution on a sample of 100 buckets, find 0 defective buckets, at most 1. तो 0 defective buckets, पहले lambda calculate करते हैं NP से. So N is 100, P is 3 by 100. So lambda is 3. So now 0 के लिए calculate करना है हमें. So e raised to minus 3. 3 raised to 0 upon 0 factorial. So e raised to minus 3 is the answer. That's का value हमें कितना दिया गया है? 0.049. Now the next part, at most 1 defective. At the most. मैक्सिमम. तो हमारे पास कौन से केसेस आएंगे? हमारे पास जो केसेस आएंगे वो आएंगे सिर्फ 0 and 1. Okay, so 0 के लिए we have e raised to minus 3, and for this what we will have? This. So 4 into e raised to minus 3. So we get 4 into 0.0049. So 6910. Right? So 1.96. So almost 2 buckets will be defective. It's like this. Clear to all? Now let's move on to the next or. So null choice was there. This was in the sample question paper of 22-23. 23-24 का पेपर हमने ऑलरेडी फुल डिस्क्रिप्शन के साथ सॉल्यूशन के साथ अपलोड किया हुआ है. आप हर सेक्शन का डिटेल सॉल्यूशन देख सकते हैं, इसलिए आई हैव नॉट इंक्लूडेड दोज क्वेश्चंस. ओके, डू प्रैक्टिस देम, दे आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर एग्जाम. Now, in a math aptitude test, and student scores are found to be normally distributed with mean 45 and standard deviation 5. What percentage of students has scores more than mean score and between 30 and 50? Now, it's a simple thing. First, we find Z. Now, your mean is 45, correct? So, now, x minus mu upon rho. तो पहला है more than mean score. More than mean का मतलब P of x greater than 45. which can be p of x. अगर हम 45 के लिए z स्कोर निकालेंगे it will be 0. So p of z greater than 0, और वो कितना होता है? 0.5, which is 50% of students. Okay, 45 पे value for 0 आ रहा है, right? So now this is what we have. Now second part के लिए between 30 and 50. So P of x between 30 and 50. 30 के लिए विल कैलकुलेट जेड स्कोर एंड 50 के लिए भी वी विल कैलकुलेट जेड स्कोर. आप इसको यहीं पे भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स. ओके, देन ऑल्सो योर मार्क्स विल नॉट बी डिडक्टेड. So what do we have here? 30 say minus 15, so we get here minus 3 और यहाँ पे we get 1. सो -3 से 1 के बीच में. ये वैल्यूज़ यहाँ पे दी नहीं गई हैं बिकॉज सैम्पल पेपर है. सो आई हैव टेकन द वैल्यूज़ फ्रॉम द टेबल डायरेक्टली विच इज़ 0.4987 प्लस 0.3413 विच इज़ 0.84. एंड 0.84 का मतलब हाउ मेनी स्टूडेंट्स? 84% स्टूडेंट्स, राइट. -3 से 0 का कैलकुलेट कर लीजिए, 0 से 1 का कर लीजिए एंड यू विल गेट योर आंसर, राइट. सो दिस इज फ्रॉम द टेबल. Now, this was a case study which was asked between 2022 and 23 sample paper, right? So this is what we had. So now we have here a questions. So now let's move on with this. So it was again a k problem है. K का value हम पहले निकालेंगे. So let's make a table here. Solution हम फिर next slide पे लेते हैं. पहले हम k का table बना लेते हैं यहाँ पे. So it will be easy for us. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. इन सब के लिए तो 0 है. 4 के लिए क्या है हमारे पास? 4k upon 2. So it becomes 2k. 3 के लिए क्या है? 1 minus 3x. Sorry. So 1 minus k. So it is 1 minus k into 3 upon 2. So what do we get? 3, 1 minus k upon 6. What do we get here? 2k upon 6 and k by 6 and 0. करेक्ट. तो ये टेबल बन गया. अब हमें आंसर्स निकालने हैं. पहले k का वैल्यू निकालना है, उसके बाद हमें डिफरेंट आंसर्स. तो पहले हम a पार्ट लेते हैं, राइट. सो k के वैल्यू के लिए यू हैव टू ऐड अप k by 6, 2k by 6, 3 1 minus k by 6 and then 4k by 2 and all add up to 1. So if I take the LCM, k, 2k, 3 minus 3k plus this. So now what will be the answer? The answer for k will be 6 minus 3. So k is 1 by 4. So that's your A part. Now what will be your B part? What is the probability that Sonali will get admission in the college given that she applied at least 2 weeks ahead of the application deadline? 2 weeks ahead of the application deadline. At least. So at least का मतलब minimum. Okay, at least 2 weeks ahead she had applied. So now we have to go for 2, 3 and 4. So what's the value for 2k by 6? 3 1 minus k by 6 and 4k by 2. Now let's add up and find it out. So for this we have got 2k plus 3 minus 3k plus 12. So what do we have? So let's put the value of k as 1 by 4 here. So what do we get here? We get here 23 by 24. Correct? So we get here 23 by 24. So I can do it one step more. 23 by 24. Correct? Now for the last part, what do we get? Calculate the mathematical expectation of the number of weeks taken by the student to apply ahead of the college deadline. So we have to simply calculate the expected value. So what do we had the expected value as? We have to add all the cases. तो ऑलरेडी हमने देखे 2 3 4 का ऐड किया है, 1 का हमारा लेफ्ट आउट है. करेक्ट. सो नाउ लेट्स फाइंड इट आउट. So 1 के लिए we have k by 6 here and calculate the mathematical expectation of the number of weeks. So we have to simply find the mean. Correct? So math of the number of weeks ahead of the college deadline. So what do we have? We have to simply find it out the total expectation. So आप k by 6 को ऐड करके सॉल्व कर सकते हैं, राइट? और सबका एडिशन क्या आएगा? 1 आएगा. So now if you calculate the mathematical expectation of the number of weeks taken by the student to apply ahead of a college application deadline, so it will be basically the same answer. So right, so 1 minus 1 by 24, that you get 23 by 4. So that is what we have. Now we have here same mathematical expectation, expected value निकाल दीजिए. So expected value निकालने के लिए हमें क्या करना है? 1 into 1 by 4, 24, and then 2 into this and all. So let's do it. Right, this is what we have. Correct. So let's calculate this first. So k plus 4k plus now 8 3s are 20, 4 4 is 16. Now let's put the value here. So 11 plus 9, 20 by 6. So we have here 10 by 3. This is the answer. Right? So this is what we have for the answer. Now the or part is on, what do we say, probability, but it is not on the same question. Okay, इसका internal choice है. So to promote early admissions, the college is offering scholarships as follows. So what is the expected value for scholarship? So आपके पास 4, 3, 2 and 1 weeks के लिए scholarships है. Correct? So let's make the table. X P X है. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks के लिए आपके पास scholarships हैं. कितनी scholarships हैं? 9,600, 12,000, 20,000, 50,000. Okay. So now let's move on. इसको हम x को scholarships ले लेते हैं. So 9,600, 12,000, 20,000 और what was it? 50,000. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. करेक्ट. इतनी स्कॉलरशिप हमको मिलनी है. कब के लिए? व्हाट इज द प्रोबेबिलिटी? इफ यू अप्लाई 1 2 3 4. सो 4 3 2 के लिए हमें क्या मिलेगा? वी टेक द पॉइंट. सो व्हाट डू वी गेट? 1 by 24, 1 by 12, and here we get 1 3 by 8, and here we get 1 by 2. Right? Now we have to find the expected value, so we multiply and get the answer. So what do we get? We get here this plus this plus this plus this, right? Clear to all? So this is what we have. Now let's move on to this. K का वैल्यू आप सबको याद है, राइट? सेम क्वेश्चन है जो पहले से लिंक है. K का वैल्यू इज 1 by 4. सो व्हाट वी हैव, K by 6 था हमारा, तो इसलिए क्या बन गया? K का वैल्यू 1 by 24, राइट? इफ यू वांट यू कैन पुट द प्रीवियस वैल्यूज और K आप लास्ट में कैलकुलेट कर सकते. सो 24, 9,600, 24,000. So we have 6 and then again 9 2s are 18. Right? So what do we get here? Right? So what do we have here? We have here 1. So we get here 9. And here we get 2 and all. So we get here 2 6. 1,80,000. In here we have this. So let's calculate it vertically once. Otherwise हमारा division जो होगा वो थोड़ा सा wrong आ जाएगा. Right. So let's calculate 0, 0, 6, 1 and 8. So 8, 1, 3, 6, 0, 0. Now let's divide it by 24 directly. You can reduce it and you get the answer. I hope this value is clear to everyone. So what we had k by 6. Here what we had 2k by 6. And here what we had 3 1 minus k by 6. And here what we had 4k by 2. So this is what we had, and we put the value of k as 1 by 4. So this was all for the probability, and if you all have understood it, please do like, share and subscribe. All the best for your exams, students. Do well. Okay.